Got it.
The gentleman at the store pointed me out to this new one that just came on the shelf called 6 Degrees of Collaboration. That's right. 6 breweries got together here locally in Seattle. I believe they're all in Seattle. Yeah. And put together a Seattle Beer Week IPA because Seattle Beer Week is very close upon us. I need to look up exactly when it is, but I need to open my beer first. That is the Schooner Exact, the Black Raven, the
It's
Pike.
Schooner, by the way.
Schooner, sorry. It's too small to read. The Pike Brewery, Naked City, Elysian, and Georgetown.
Which are all very well-known breweries out here in the old Puget Sound.
Puget Sound of Washington.
Oh, by the way, we're streaming. I remember to click the button.
Did you actually remember to click it?
Well, yeah, late, but I remembered. All right. Well, this is different. You know what? The color looks very similar to a. I can't think of words. It looks very similar.
Cider?
Yeah, that's the word. Cider.
It looks like a cider.
All right. So.
Salud.
So cheers. It has 6 different hops, 6 different barleys.
Yes, let's see. 6 hops, 6 hop additions, 6 malts, and 6 house yeast strains. All from 6 different brewers here in the area.
That's good. I'm all for a good IPA, which stands for India Pale Ale.
Yes, aren't IPAs your favorite there, Wendell?
IPAs are indeed my favorite. They call this okay. Here's an interesting thing though. They call this one a session. Where'd it go? Not so secret side is a session IPA.
Let me look up when.
Designed to keep conversations going throughout Washington and beyond. This is not a session IPA.
Oh, look at that! Seattle Beer Week is still a month away.
So here's the thing. This is 6% alcohol. Session beers.
Well, it better be 6 because it's 6 brewery. That's
That's true. They didn't even put that on there.
This is like 666 times
No,
2.
it's 6.
I know.
6.
4
times
6.
2. But no, most session beers are fairly low in alcohol content because of the, it's a session beer. They're designed to be able to drink a lot of them. This is definitely not one of those.
Well, so they put this out for Seattle Beer Week, which is happening May 8th through 18th, which is more like 2 weeks.
We should maybe see about dropping by that.
Definitely. Washington Beer Commission invites you to visit some of our state's many innovative, esteemed, and downright friendly craft brewers on Saturday.
On Seattle Day?
Yeah, on Seattle Day. May 8th through the 18th. Check that out. And so they put this out in honor of that. Speaking of beer.
Yeah, speaking of beer.
Which maybe we should just
What's
jump over.
on tap, Niles?
Maybe we should just jump over to the next segment.
Wait. Oh, I thought we were talking about that under this one. Okay, yeah. Oh, that segment.
We interrupt this program to bring you
Science fiction garbage.
I love that. I still have the RoboCop. I love it. Hey, since we're talking about beer, The Walking Dead, season 4.
Wait, there's beer in The Walking Dead? Or is there Walking Dead in the beer?
The Walking Dead season finale just happened this last Sunday, and for those of you like Wendell who aren't caught
so
up,
far behind.
boo!
I think I'm two. No, not
kidding me?
not 2
Yeah, that's
episodes.
right.
I think I'm 2 or a season and a half behind. I think.
Boo!
I know I'm
Anyway,
failing on that.
in honor of the season finale of The Walking Dead, or in celebration.
I am going to watch The Walking Dead. Wait, no, I don't want to watch Walking Dead on my overnights now because I'll be by myself and I might be scared.
It's not as scary. It's just kind of twisted. Anyway, Philadelphia's Dock Street Brewing Company just announced, as in a little while ago, they will be making and releasing Dock Street Walker, a 7.2% American Pale Stout brewed with actual brains. Actually, goat brains, to be exact.
Yummy.
To give the beer a subtle smoky flavor, Dock Street chose smoked goat brains, which zombies probably don't like as humans' brains, and cranberries were also mixed to add a bit of tartness and a bloody red hue.
So we have
the stout.
smokiness from goat brains and a bloody hue from cranberries.
And so when you and I met yesterday, I was like, all right, we have to find this beer and we have to have this beer. But the problem is, where's the beer? In Philadelphia. And so what were you talking about yesterday?
So this could be the most epic, the whole like BWRUN beer
Atta
run,
boy, it's a
beer
girl.
run.
We had a baby, it's a boy.
We had a baby, it's a boy. So no, the whole BWRUN beer run. This could be the most epic one of those ever, because if we are not able to get them
This is
to
like
ship
the
us
Food
out,
Network show where you just
Yes.
fly around and drink beers.
if we are not able to get them to ship us out a 6-pack, I might take it upon myself, because I am able to get places at little to no cost. I might have to take it upon myself to fly out to Philadelphia in the morning, meet somebody from the brewery, get a 6-pack,
All
and
right.
fly
Well,
back in the afternoon.
Guess what? You might have to, because I emailed.
And did you hear back
I
from
emailed
them?
one of their correspondents there in Philadelphia.
Correspondence, wow. Here
And
now,
I
a news
asked-
correspondent from the Dock Street Brewery.
I asked, since we are a podcast and we talk about films and we talk about beer as well, and your beer that you've just made kind of falls in our category, can we get some? And my fear was they're going to say, we can't ship beer or, whatever. So I emailed them, and I got actually an email back and from Alexander. Alexander, if I screw up your name, I'm sorry. He says, "Hey Niles, thanks for reaching out. What an exciting beer this has turned into. We're not able to legally ship any of this batch. In the future, we're going to work with online distributors and further our reach. We have 12-ounce bottles available for sale at our brewery. That's
Crap.
pretty much the only way to get it at this time. Sorry. If you have friends in the area, that might be your best bet. Also wanted to point out that this isn't a homemade brew. We are a commercial brewery, which is where our concerns about legally shipping come in. And thanks for reaching out." So,
Well, crap.
so you flying out might be our only option at this point.
So we'll have to either figure that out, or I don't know, maybe Elise knows somebody in Philly that could go and
Ooh,
get us a 6-pack and mail it
yes.
to us. I don't know. We'll have to figure out some options for that one, but we absolutely must drink.
I want.
I want beer with goat brains.
This is just too good to be true. It's just too good to be
maybe
true.
Scott and I could try to brew it. Maybe we could
ooh.
try to brew.
Like, get your own goat brains and do it.
We could get raw goat brains and try smoking them, and then brewing with said smoked goat brains.
I mean, if they can do it, you can do it too, right?
This sounds very scary.
That's right. You at home can also make goat brain beer. We're gonna have to try it because we're gonna want some.
Moving on to our next epic list of last frequency items. to talk
Moving
about.
on. You know what? I didn't even read about this article, so I'm just gonna skip
How did
it.
I miss this?
I'm
Wait,
just gonna
no. We cannot miss. Okay, I'm reading this for the first time. Building
All right,
a
so
phone network
what if-
for the zombie apocalypse.
What if you're building a phone network for the zombie apocalypse? Basically,
I'm gonna scan this really quick. This sounds epic.
suppose you and 100 friends are setting up a colony on Mars. Other colonists are handling food, water, and shelter, the big stuff. All you need to do to set them up is working cell phone towers. So the question is, there's no AT&T on Mars. This is an article on Verge that I found, which sadly I did not read through all the way. So it's like, what I mean, like we've been thinking about. I thought about this a lot. Is what happens in this apocalypse when panic happens on the streets and all of a sudden, like, everybody's calling. Everybody's using their cell phones.
This is
It's
the
like,
exact thing that happened, like, say, 9/11
Or,
or any
yeah.
major natural disaster. All of the cell networks get completely overloaded.
or even downtown Seattle when the Seahawks
Yes,
Super Bowl
exactly.
victory.
Yeah.
I mean, like, think of that. Just your cell phones not being able to handle basically an apocalyptic event. You know what? That reminds me. Other news. This is random, by the way. Yellowstone National Park. So there's been recent footage and stories about animals fleeing Yellowstone National Park, like in herds.
Like,
Exodus
as in
style.
the gigantic supervolcano under Yellowstone is about to blow up?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about because all the animals.
What was
like,
that in? What movie?
There was one of
just
the
recently. It was the one that had the airplane that flew under the falling building.
Day After Tomorrow director.
It was the one with the arcs.
Oh my gosh.
Wasn't it one with the arcs?
That's not Day After Tomorrow. That's because that's the one with the snow. Yeah.
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow is the one with the snow.
I actually haven't seen the one. It's 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, that one.
So I mean, there's footage of a park ranger, and all of a sudden, all the bison. There's like 20 plus bison walking out of the plains and the hills onto the roads and like jogging, not walking, but jogging away.
Maybe they were just getting their daily exercise.
Yeah, but like
they were
all
out
of them,
jogging. Do they have
all
like,
the
sweatbands on
so,
their horns?
So there's talk that Yellowstone might be acting up a little bit. But anyway, I just saw that just recently and thought I should mention that. That's kind of
I'm actually going to have to look at this article a little bit. It's kind of interesting. I just skimmed through it, and it's basically saying about how you could take like individual cell phone towers and build out a like small network without having to have all of the basic server infrastructure and everything.
Maybe we'll talk about this on the next episode of The Last Frequency.
Indeed, in 2 weeks.
Because, yes, I got distracted and forgot about this article. All right, let's go to our next topic. So, there's a hack on Google Street View that turns your city into a post-apocalyptic jungle.
Okay, that's awesome.
Very cornily. Cornily, is that a word? So, yeah, let's see. The site's creator, I'm going to blow his name, Enar, says on Twitter that he's breaking terms in use of likes.
Whoa.
Breaking terms of use like it's no tomorrow, presumably because it used the undocumented depth data of the Google Maps API to realistically position 3D trees, leaves, and vines that grow inside and around buildings. So it's a real, very simplistic thing. But it takes the Google Maps and it adds like trees and let's see, what? Oh shoot, I think it's called Urban Jungle Street View. I think is the actual website. Let's click it and find out. Yes, it is Urban Jungle Street View. Basically, look that up, and it's got a YouTube video on it. I don't know exactly. I haven't been able to access the actual hack, but this is actually video of the hack. I don't know if you're looking at that right now.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the little image. Where'd it go? I just lost it.
Oh, I just lost my link too.
The one that has like the street view, but there's like overgrown grass and trees and all that. That's pretty awesome, I have to say.
So you have to go on look up Urban Jungle Street View, and
we'll put the link in the show notes.
Yeah, there's a little video that kind of shows you. It's just kind of a little fun little hack that somebody went and is probably getting in trouble about now. But anyway, yes. I just found that. And basically, that's it for news, except I've got I stumbled upon in my IO9 searches, a huge list of films that have to do with sort of our genre or kind of their genre films that aren't remakes or sequels or anything, just kind of new genre films that are coming out.
This is ridiculous, by the way.
What?
There are like 12 of them, or 9 or something. Like,
so I went through the list and picked out the stuff that sort of would fit within our category, at least from my knowledge.
Well, and we're also going to discuss a little bit about whether or not some of these will fall into...
Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like the highlighted stuff that I was like, oh, that could be cool, and I read the little description, and here we go. I think I probably have like 15 on this list. Transcendence, starring Johnny Depp.
What is a log line, by the way?
It's kind of like a little informational.
Did you write these, or are these from?
No, this is from their site.
Oh well, then it's official. This falls into our category.
It could be a British thing. I don't know. Don't upload Johnny Depp to the cloud, or you'll unleash an AI apocalypse on the world as he becomes an artificial super being. The film is the directorial debut of Christopher Nolan's cinematographer, Wally Pfister. Awesome. And it's supposed to be coming out April 18th. Very soon. It's basically, he's trying to develop this AI system that is the smartest computer in the world, and also give it total human emotion, sort of like, kind of on the lines of like almost human or iRobot.
So at first I was thinking that this is, we were talking before the show that this doesn't seem like it falls into our category, but this could be kind of a precursor to, say, Terminator, right? Where, giving What if you could upload a person's intelligence or a person's humanity, whatever you want to call it, into a computer system, and suddenly they have control over everything computer related
That don't, and it doesn't follow the 3 laws of robotics at all,
as put
or whatever.
forth by
Being that
Isaac
it's
Asimov.
artificial, yeah.
Yeah.
Being
No,
that
so
intelligence.
that's kind of an interesting concept. Maybe we should watch it and see if it falls into our category. I think it could potentially.
Anyway, it comes out this month.
That is true.
So it's
Maybe we'll have to watch this as kind of an extra one
and
and discuss it.
Yeah, it's Wally Pfister's directorial debut, and he is amazing when it comes to cinematography. So it should be really cool. April 18th, Transcendence, starring Johnny Depp. Excuse me, Rover, Guy Pearce and Rob Pattinson. That's right, Mr. Twilight.
Oh, seriously?
But get past that because I saw the trailer and it actually could be really cool.
Did they really put Rob Pattinson instead of Robert?
They did.
Because I think he normally, at least in Twilight days, went by Robert.
He's more of a Rob in this movie than he is a Robert.
He's a Rob.
Starring this near-future Western set after the collapse of civilization where a man is chasing the gang that stole his last remaining possessions.
What is his last remaining possession?
That is up to the movie. We will see it hopefully around June, it says. It's called Rover. There's actually a trailer online, and it looks actually really cool. Especially near-future Western. It doesn't look like it's super far in the future, but enough to pose a collapse of a civilization of some sort. Next, Vice. Starring Bruce Willis in a Westworld-esque film about artificial beings who have their memories erased every night so the wealthy can do whatever cruel and depraved things they want. Until one android, played by Amber Childers, I think I probably remember her face, remembers and revolts. Now filming it already got a worldwide distribution and companies seem to be jazzed about it.
Interesting. Have we seen Bruce Willis in this type of a kind of sci-fi
Yes.
esque movie before?
Oh, yes.
okay.
Wait, have we?
Yeah. Fifth Element.
No, there was the one where he was dealing with artificial intelligence. It was called, I think you saw it.
Did I?
Yes, it was like 2 years ago. Oh man. You're gonna make me search for it.
Bruce
Wait for
Willis, 2 years ago.
Not 2 years ago, more like 3 years ago. Surrogates.
So, did I
you ever
see
see
that?
Set in a future world where humans live in an isolation and interact through surrogate robots.
I don't think I've seen that.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I have not seen that. It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
Basically, people live through drones
Sounds sweet.
and interact with people through drones, and it's kind of like living in a MMO or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think I remember seeing it or seeing a preview for it or something.
So
but I don't think I've
that's
actually seen it.
That's what this brings to mind is the movie Surrogates. Definitely, Bruce Willis is more recently dealing with AI and robots and drones.
I guess we did see him in Looper.
Oh yeah, and Looper too. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think I thought of Surrogates at first because of artificial.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, that's Vice. Obviously, it's filming now, so it doesn't have a release date yet, but people are getting pretty jazzed about it, and companies are excited for it. What we've talked about before is Edge of Tomorrow.
We talked about that?
Stupid.
That's right. Wendell gets the stupid. Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, was
I remember
Groundhog
you talking
Day.
about Emily Blunt. Oh, right.
Groundhog
Yeah.
Day.
All right.
He has to relive the
You
battle.
need to unstupid me now because I remember.
I'm sorry, I don't have unstupid. Too bad for you. The movie version of acclaimed Japanese novel. Oh, I didn't know that. All You Need Is Kill. About a soldier.
There's an English translation of that I could read.
About a soldier fighting aliens who keeps getting brought back from the dead over and over. Trailer's out. It's supposed to be coming out around June 6th. It looks awesome. Plus, it has Emily Blunt. Shwing. And yeah, Tom Cruise is back in another sci-fi.
Yeah, so
dystopian.
Tom Cruise kind of winging the sci-fi apocalypse dystopias
You know what,
with Oblivion and now this.
I would. it just looks badass.
Well,
awesome.
and I mean, there's something in the last couple of years, and we need to talk about this on a Dystopic Talk sometime. Maybe have Schlicker on again. But there is something about this genre that is just exploding. I mean, between all of the Hunger Games movies and all of these that are coming out, like there is just a glut of these apocalyptic dystopian movies.
Well, let's see. So I went. Oh yeah. By the way, I went to Emerald City Comic Con this last weekend.
Yeah.
I posted on Facebook our little picture of our little business cards.
Fantastic.
Hey. And I was basically trying to pass those out and find people that wanted to know about podcasts, and I got some looks like, "What are podcasts? Like, what the hell are you talking about?" Oh yeah,
Comic-Con?
oh yeah.
I would have thought that if there's one place that you could hand out something that says about a podcast, people would not look like you're crazy.
There is plenty of people who don't know what the hell we're even doing here. But I stopped by. There was actually a Building Better Dystopias little panel.
Oh, dang it. I wish I could have gone to that.
From Image Comics. There was a bunch of writers and artists talking about their comics, and I got a list of comics that I need to now read. There's just too much information, but that's the thing. It's like there's so much material, but they were talking about why there's so much of this stuff happening, and it just, as far as like doomsday preppers and all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's actually a TV show, isn't it? Doomsday
Well,
Preppers.
there's a couple of them, and there's podcasts about people like prepping for the apocalypse, and I think it's just the time.
We should see if we could have one of those people on, interview them, be like, so why are you nuts?
Why are you smart?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, because one of the guys is like, aren't we in a dystopia right now? I mean, I think
it all depends on what you consider it.
I think as far as like people's ideas of government and economic collapse and like the environment going haywire, I think it's one of these things that is we feel like society. I think it's just playing with the idea that we are getting closer to this imminent end that we see in all these films of our past, like Brazil and '84 and all these films. So I think it's just kind of one of those pieces of literature that is now just getting adopted as, very close to home, very close to reality, and it's definitely the future that we don't want, but it's better than our dystopia that we're living in right now.
That's true.
So I think that's why we're seeing just a emergence of all this, and there's just all this. We're just kind of snapping on all this literature that keeps popping up. So anyway, that was Edge of Tomorrow. That'll definitely be on the list for June 6th.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
our June episode.
Yeah, well, and then you got this next one also coming later in June, which I might have to watch for the July episode.
Well, and this one actually, this is Snowpiercer with Chris Evans and
kind of a weird name for a movie.
Snowpiercer.
Just for the record.
I know.
I don't know.
It's kind of like it could be a porn.
You really just never mind. All right, moving on. Starring Chris Evans and Tilda Swinton.
Although
the name of the director, Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho stars in Snowpiercer. It's an adaptation of a mind-blowing South Korean science fiction action film. It is it's a South Korean science fiction action film based on the French graphic novel. About a future where a failed global warming experiment kills off most of the planet and sends the planet into an ice age, basically. And Snowpiercer, a train that travels around the globe via perpetual motion engine.
Ooh, perpetual motion.
Provides the environment for which all the characters are evolve around. So it's pretty much everything it looks like from the trailer. It happens on this train, and it's kind of like the lower end of society, or the lower income. I wouldn't say income. Like
it breaks up
the higher class and the lower class.
Yeah,
into like one half of the train is lower class, one half is high, and basically the low starts to revolt, which is Chris Evans, and take over the train basically. So yeah, that looks cool. And actually, I think it already has been released, but it hasn't gotten a U.S.
I wonder if there's an English
distribution
translation of it yet.
We'll have to look. We'll have to see. Coming up next is The Giver,
Fantastic.
which you
Fantastic book. Fantastic book.
Which
I
you
will have
talked
to. Yeah, we did talk about that a few episodes back. Probably what episode?
A few.
10.
Like, was that a year ago?
So like 8 or something. I don't know. So I may have to reread that book later this year in preparation for that.
And I think because that's slated. The Giver is slated for August 15th, starring Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep. Awesome.
Yeah, that's an interesting duo. Yeah,
Based on
great
Lois Lowry's beloved YA novel or YA novel.
young adult
Thank you.
is what that.
Oh, thank you. I was like, what the hell is
YA.
YA?
YA is short
It
for
makes
young,
so much sense now.
young adult. You will often see books like The Hunger Games, the Divergent trilogy,
There's
all
like- I'm like-
described as
I'm like,
YA.
there's a lot of YA novels out there.
Stupid.
That's right. I get one of those. About a dystopian society where people's emotions are muted in the quest for sameness, and a boy is trained to be the
receptacle,
respectable,
of the suppressed memories of the time before sameness.
and didn't it have to do with colors? Was that the color one, or was that a different one? That was a different book, wasn't it?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, that was a different book.
No,
about the
no,
colors.
No, that was The Giver.
Was it The Giver?
Because that was where everybody in the quest for sameness, everybody sees in black and white or in
that's
gray. Everybody, like, there's no emotion basically. And this boy, as he's going through, he gets chosen to be the next giver.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he basically has to gain all of this information that he gets from the previous giver, and he starts to see colors and has to learn what the names of the colors are and
Gaining
all
memories
this kind
at
of
the same
stuff.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really, really good book.
I'm glad. And I think when we were talking about the book, we also found out that they were thinking about the movie.
Yeah,
with
that
Jeff
was.
Bridges.
Yep.
So
yeah.
this is good news. Next.
And that's coming August 15th.
August
so
15th, I
I
know.
guess we have an August episode.
Ooh, woohoo! All right, next, The Fire Sermon. This YA novel.
They actually spelled that one out for you.
I know. Damn it. By Francois Haig. I'm just going to say Haig. I'm going to screw it up. Haig. Was snapped up as a movie, even though it's not yet out in the U.S. I think they're working on it. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where people are always born as twins.
Ew.
One perfect and one mutated.
That's
And the mutated ones are always sent away.
that sounds disturbing.
DreamWorks is producing the film and just signed up Guardians of the Galaxy writer Nicole Perlman to write the script.
It was not indented correctly.
You weren't indented correctly. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so that's in the works. That could be really interesting.
That's in the DreamWorks.
That's in the DreamWorks. All right. Cooties is the next one, starring Elijah Wood and Rainn Wilson, amongst many other comedic talents. Are teachers at an elementary school where some bad hot dogs cause a zombie outbreak among the students, and the teachers have to dole out some tough discipline. So,
That sounds terrible, just for the record.
Teachers beating up zombie students. Is that what that is?
You know what? That sounds right up there with the list of movies that we're going to be adding to our list based off of a top 10 worst zombie flicks. What was it? Mojo.com or something that we watched the other night.
No, we're not
That
adding
had,
all those.
That had like 10 absolutely horrific
All right,
zombie movies.
There's definitely a line that I will draw when it comes to what we watch. Yes, we don't know sometimes, but now that I know some, I'm not. Yeah, anyway,
Hey,
whatever.
there were movies with Rowdy Roddy Piper in some of those lists.
Those are way better. Those are actually bad good, like bad good,
Bad
not
good.
just bad, straight up bad. This Cootie's got pretty good reviews at Sundance, so it premiered there and was acquired by Lionsgate. So that means we will probably definitely see it in our future. There's a couple little indie projects. A lot of Sundance stuff. Young Ones happens to be one of those. Jake Paltrow's directorial debut is a weird Western set in a post-apocalyptic world, which premiered at Sundance and obviously got kind of half and half reviews. Meh reviews, but I think it's just one of those that could be really good, but they just I don't know, people just didn't get it kind of thing. basically evolves around a sort of a dry barren
so this is the opposite of Waterworld then.
the opposite of Waterworld, exactly. Set in the near future when water has become the most precious and dwindling resource on the planet. One that dictates everything from the macro and the political policy to the detailed macro of interpersonal family and romantic relationships, basically. Starring Michael Shannon, he's a big name, and Ellie Fanning, who you would probably know the face. I can't point out the actual film. But kind of another futuristic Western, divided kind of into chapters. It kind of built more like a Greek tragedy than anything else.
Elle Fanning is the younger sister to Dakota Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the sad part. It's depressing. Elle Fanning was born in 1998.
Woo!
Oh, she was in Super 8.
Dang! Oh, that's right. Yeah, Super
Curious
8.
Case of Benjamin Button, Super 8, Deja Vu, The Door on the Floor.
Yeah.
She can't have been in that many things. She's not old enough to have been in that many things. She's like, what, 1988? So she's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother, let's see, 90
That's depressing.
Yeah. So another kind of futuristic Western. Basically, yeah, the opposite of Waterworld. I was reading a little bit. I actually think
that looks kind of good.
Yeah, and muted reviews at Sundance. I mean, Terry Gilliam, for one, has had muted reviews all of his life. In fact, Brazil. Once we talk about Brazil here pretty soon, got a lot of muted reviews. And
that's right. We still have 2 movies we actually have to talk about.
Look what it's become now. Anyway, yes, just recently. Let's move on to the next one. The next one's The Machine. One that actually was just released in the UK on Blu-ray and DVD, for those of you still there. A British movie about 2 programmers who fall in love as they develop the first artificial intelligence. But then the British government steals their creation and tries to turn it into a weapon. Basically, they're giving a lot of comparisons to Blade Runner for this film in terms of its originality and visual style and world. So I'm actually, and I there's previews out there. I saw the previews, and it looks pretty awesome. And
we could watch this one for our April episode as well.
Do you want to? Want to? We have to see if we can actually get our hands on. I mean, it's been released in the UK. Wendell looks at me like,
if we can get our hands on it. Hold, please.
Let me show you.
What was the name of it again?
The Machine. Oh, what'd you look up? Basically, I kind of want to watch it because of the
Machine,
the female role in there. I won't say it. Anyway, while you're looking that up, the next one is Air, starring Norman Reedus, who you might know from The Walking Dead, and Jimon Husao. Oh my gosh, I can't say
wow.
I can't say
All right.
I can't say his name. Wow, I don't even know.
Jimon Husao.
I probably should have tried to figure that out. Read the episode.
This looks fantastic, by the way.
They are both janitorial workers in the cryogenic facility where the survivors of humanity are frozen after a nuclear disaster. Yeah, so it's about some janitorial workers.
But here's the key thing.
Facility.
It's produced by the Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman.
Thank you very much.
The creator of both the comic and the producer. Wait, producer or director of the show?
Producer and writer.
Yeah.
Writer-ish.
So I think that looks fantastic.
And the director is also a part co-writer on the script. And yeah, it sounds good. I haven't found out much more about the film, but I'm sure it's definitely in the works as far as a date is concerned. And then the last one, but not least, is Terry Gilliam's newest film, which premiered in Italy and is being obviously like all of other Terry Gilliam's films. They start out in Italy and then they end up in the U.S. at some point and they become some cult classic. Zero Theorem. Starring Christoph Waltz, who you might know from Inglourious Bastards and Django just recently.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Pat Rushin about a man who is working on discovering the reasons for existence, but the man, keeps distracting him. Gilliam has described it as a sort of greatest hits film. So I'm assuming he's trying to take all the films he's worked on and he's going to put it into one. And this is kind of his film. And it's gotten mixed views. It's gotten really energetic views. It's gotten, the typical, like, what the hell was he thinking kind of reviews.
Yeah, but then again, it's Terry Gilliam.
I mean, the same was for Brazil. Brazil was originally released in Italy.
That was pretty much my reaction during Brazil, was like, what the hell?
And then they tried to get it to the U.S., and there's a whole story behind it. We'll talk about that later. So that's the list of stuff coming up. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, that's it? Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's all? Jeez.
I was looking at our list of films, and we're like, we have our other list, and then we have the list of stuff we want to watch.
No, there's a giant list of other.
I almost want to put a lot of these on the list of stuff we want to watch just to balance it out, but we'll see what happens. Okay. I'm actually excited about a lot of those. But let's go to our first film.
The Quiet Earth. We planned ahead and were able to get Mark in to record last night. So let's listen to Mark describe what The Quiet Earth is about.
The Quiet Earth. When scientist Zach Hobson experiments with a radical new power source, a band of energy that would circle the planet, the project goes awry and apparently wipes out all living creatures, vanishing without a trace. At first, Zach adjusts by indulging himself in some of his materialistic desires, but he soon starts a serious search for other signs of human life. He discovers it in New Zealand, in the form of Joanne, with whom he falls in love. Anapi, a trigger-happy survivalist. The challenges the three face in order to survive, as well as their personal interactions, will take them through The Quiet Earth. The Quiet Earth.
Don't repeat.
Tonight, your television set becomes a time machine to the 22nd century. The Quiet Earth, 1985, directed by Geoff Murphy. That's a very New Zealand name. Written by a lot of people. Craig Harrison to be one of them. Bill Baer, Bruno Lawrence, and Sam Fillsbury. Starring Bruno Lawrence. I actually didn't realize he wrote this. As Zach Hobson. Alison Rutledge, as played by Joanne. And Pete Smith as Oppie.
He was the crazy guy.
Peter Smith, the trigger-happy survivalist. And a bunch of dead people. But basically, those were our three. Those were our three survivors. Music by John Charles, which I was kind of.
Yeah, I tried to find him.
Did you look for the soundtrack?
Yeah, I looked for the soundtrack. I could not find that one, and I also tried to look up John Charles, and he's actually kind of hard to find. Like, he's not known for a lot of stuff. The only John Charles you can find is some Welsh international footballer that played for, like, Leeds United or something.
Well, there you go.
I know.
But The Quiet Earth, definitely first off, at the end of this film, I was like, all right, we have Omega Man, we have Last Man on Earth, we have, it's definitely the sort of, you get sort of a feeling of a rapture, you get like Last Man on Earth, there's no aliens or there's no zombies or vampires or anything like that. It's just basically these three characters. Zach Hobson, be one of them, is living in New Zealand alone, and he has to face the fact that he's all alone. But he is a part of this scientific experiment that you get the sense it went horribly wrong, and so he's trying to figure out what went wrong, and also where he is in space and time. It's kind of
the interesting thing about this
scientific
scientific experiment is, they were trying to basically figure out a better source of energy and kind of an unlimited source of energy. And by nature of what happens with this experiment, everybody disappears off the planet. It's interesting because so we are led to believe at the beginning of the movie. It's interesting because at the TV show Revolution that I've been watching, it is a very similar parallel but different outcome.
Yeah.
That, humanity is experimenting with finding something with nanotechnology and an energy source based off of that. And because of it, all of the world's electricity shuts off. Everything. Anything having to do with electricity no longer works. So it's an interesting kind of parallel that, humanity's trying to work on this great work of science, and as a result, an accident happens, and then bad things happen because of it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it's got an interesting, because as far as, I mean, the look. Let's talk about the look and the feel of it, and before we go into anything story wise or anything like that. Very. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of New Zealand films, so I don't get. But it's very European in the sense of its style and dialogue and feel. And I was actually thinking about it. It's very much like Brazil. I mean, Brazil also being a European film. But you sort of, while watching, you sort of get this very surrealistic sort of element to it. This very because there's the sci-fi element of it, but then you also get this kind of Last Man on Earth, very still, very quiet. But then also you switch over to this kind of a really surrealistic, trippy.
And there's definitely a look and feel to the movie that is, you can tell it was not filmed in the U.S. Things like the first opening scene has a naked dude laying in bed.
Oh yeah,
there are elements to it that are like completely like, yeah, that wasn't filmed here, because they never would have just shown some dude full frontal nudity laying in bed in a general like PG-13 movie.
Did I just see? Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was like, oh my, yeah, okay.
Thank you, New Zealand. Thank you very much.
Hope that doesn't happen again. And sure enough, like 10 minutes later, that happens again. So, I think there are certainly elements to that are a little more European, in that they really didn't think twice about putting something like that in a movie.
But with along the same lines, they don't shy away from certain things. So you almost get this thing that you don't get in like The Last Man on Earth or Omega Man, which is sort of this very gritty realism to it, because of what they feel like they're able to show, and their perspective on it is very different. So it had a very gritty, still, quiet feel to it, very European feel to it. Obviously, genre, sort of a sci-fi. I mean, I wouldn't even call it like an apocalypse. I would almost say this is more of a.
Well, the problem though is that
because we don't get the sense that, kind of a spoiler for anybody that hasn't watched the film. You don't really know if everybody's disappeared, or they've disappeared, where they are.
But as the main character is walking around and going into houses and things,
everybody's gone.
Everybody's not just gone, but they are gone in a way that is like you can see the outline of where they were laying in bed.
That's true. Right.
And there's like
that's
trays of food where they were sitting.
Yeah, that's right.
So there are, there's all of these situations where there would have been a person right there, and then it's literally like they just disappeared from where they were.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So from that perspective, like it's not just it doesn't just feel like they got transported out, but like they are still in the world and everybody else got transported out, raptured, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely brings to mind a very Rapture sort of feel, a Last Man on Earth feel. You don't get to see a lot of. There's no body. I mean, there's only a couple of bodies, but I think they were in the lab, right?
There was one body in the lab, and then later, as they're trying to discover what happens, him and the girl that they eventually find are driving around trying to figure out what happened. They see a couple of bodies. They see people that were not impacted by the event. Right? They see the old lady that's in the car that's like leaning out, and she has like a radio or something. So there are some of those situations that they do see some bodies, but there are no. The other key to this is, and the big difference I think between this and I Am Legend or Omega Man or any of those, or even 5, yeah, 5.
Oh yeah, 5. Yeah,
is every living thing is gone. Every living animal is
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
It's not just human beings that are affected by this. They don't see any birds, animals, nothing. Like every living thing is gone, which is why it's such a big deal when later in the movie they see the main character sees I think it's a bee. Wasn't it a bee that he saw somewhere? Maybe I'm imagining that. Maybe I'm imagining a bee.
What was? Oh,
There was,
I
there was
know
like
what you're
an
talking about,
insect that he saw
though. Yeah, that's right.
later in the film. So I think it's interesting because this is the first movie I've ever seen where they talk about every living creature being gone, not just humans.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes. Exactly. As far as the story elements are concerned, we get it's definitely not the last man on Earth. It's like the last thing on Earth, or the last living thing on Earth. And you also get this sci-fi twist to it. Is because what you find out is they all died. They all die at the exact moment that this.
They are in the process of dying.
They're in the process
at
of
the
dying.
exact moment that this scientific phenomenon happens, and as a result, they survive, or they are brought back, or whatever you want to call it.
They counteracted the effects of whatever happened, and so that's why they're living. So it's kind of the sci-fi element that we get in the story, along with the fact that they are the only ones here on Earth. And as far as what I liked about this one, as opposed to like Omega Man or Last Man on Earth, was how Hobson, our main character, went about his routine after the fact that he realized that he was all alone. Like he went through this period of living at his house and not really going all out and then going crazy, and then he goes out and finds the luxuries.
He finds a bigger house,
a bigger house, and
yeah.
then he ends up going crazy again through that. And I mean, I think as far as how they went about his development through the story, I thought it was more kind of realistic as far as how somebody would deal with being alone,
or not deal with it,
not deal with it. Yeah, I mean, he was on the verge of killing himself. Like
the
twice.
other interesting thing about this movie, though, and I think this is a key difference between this and any other Last Man on Earth scenario, is
LMAO. Last Man. Oh,
Last
yeah.
Man on Earth, LMOA, LMOE,
LMOE,
is he or the group he worked for was the cause of it.
Mm-hmm.
Every other Last Man on Earth scenario is this person suddenly left there and they have no idea what happened.
They have no idea.
And you don't really know exactly what's going on at the beginning of the movie. But as the main character proceeds through the movie, you start to find out more about what he was working on, and that it was his group trying to perfect this scientific thing about energy going around the world that caused this to happen.
Yeah.
So it's rare that the survivor is somebody that caused the apocalypse or whatever to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was very cool and very realistic, and I really liked where they kind of went with it. And obviously we've compared this to Omega Man and all these other films just like it, but it definitely takes a little twist and gives it that European flavor, which I really love. So yeah. I really liked it. I mean,
yeah, it was for being a kind of mid-'80s movie, it was surprisingly good. It actually made me care about the characters, which some of these movies, you just at the end of it, you don't really care.
Yeah, and it was also a love triangle that happens because he meets Joanne, who is his first other physical contact with any other thing, and then Appy comes into play. A New Zealand native. And
he was crazy.
And
he was kind of the survivalist, kind of the bad guy survivalist kind of character in it. And so at first, the main character and Jill are together. Joanne are together. And then as the movie progresses, you there's this whole like jealousy and
Hobson,
go for the bad boy.
And Hobson ends up wanting to figure out what happened, so he gets involved with what happened in his research and going back to the the center, and by the end they have to blow up the sort of the epicenter of where the signal's coming from, and destroy the signal. So let's go to music. As you cop.
Oh man, wrong. Bad timing on that one.
As I pour more beer.
Yikes! All right, so the music is by a John Charles,
By a football player. Football player, right?
Yeah, by a foosball player.
Foosball player. Foosball?
man. No.
Soccer?
Yeah, soccer. I was
Wait,
joking.
that's football. That's football, not
So
foosball.
John Charles is a composer. He's actually on IMDb. I finally found him. He was born in Wellington in 1940. He is a New Zealand composer. He's known for things
Well, I hope so.
that nobody's heard of.
That
like
only
The
New
Quiet
Zealanders have.
Utu, Alexander Graham Bell, The Sound of Silence, and The Last Tattoo. So I started looking down through his list.
I was
of
actually kind of
filmographies.
digging the soundtrack a little bit when I was watching the film.
It was okay. It was very reminiscent of a lot of 80s movies, though. Like kind of that.
And it wasn't
Not
big.
not a lot of ambient noise, not a lot of ambient soundtrack noise, but a lot of like as tension amps up, a lot of like harsh music
for the sake
and,
of having a
like,
soundtrack there more than
yes.
Yeah.
Now the interesting thing is he also did music for. I'm curious to see if this movie's on our list. A movie called Zombie Brigade. I wonder if this is one of those top 10 worst zombie movies of all time.
Is that another New Zealand one? That actually could be good. Is it another New Zealand one?
Okay, let's just say the tagline is, when an amusement park is built on the grounds of an old cemetery, the dead rise to take revenge.
Clown zombies. We're watching it.
This has a 2.2 out of 10 on IMDb. This looks horrible.
All right, so a 2.2 rating and clown zombies probably. We are watching it.
I might not watch this one.
Hey, you've already seen Zombieland.
That's true. There were clown zombies in
There was
Zombieland.
one clown zombie.
Yeah,
Epic.
but that one was the
Epic.
worst clown zombie ever.
I don't think it's on our list, but I don't know.
Okay, there are 3 taglines
see what
for
happens.
Zombie Brigade.
Oh,
The
this-
ultimate horror. The dead have awakened to seek revenge. Boy, are they ticked off. That's from the DVD tagline. And then there's It's the Boys' Night Out and so much to do before sunup.
That's like 21 and over.
Those are terrible taglines.
It's like 21 and over zombie
Yeah,
style.
I know. All right. Anyway, so John Charles, obviously not known for a lot of music. It was just kind of a very normal 80s, with action elements thrown in soundtrack
and some synth elements to it.
Yeah, synth. You're just typical like 80s soundtrack. Nothing standout, nothing spectacular.
I'm in love with the 80s. Yeah. Oh, egg and champagne.
Yeah.
Is that a?
All right. So at one
What was
point,
that about?
At one point in the movie, it's when he's like living in the lap of luxury in some mansion. He has a champagne glass and he cracks a raw egg in the bottom of
Did we
the
look this up?
champagne. Yeah, I looked it up. He cracks a raw egg in the bottom of champagne glass and then pours champagne over it and then downs the whole thing. And I was sitting there like, is this a thing? Did I like miss that this is some like amazing epic thing? And
it is?
no, it's not, because when you type literally, so if you search Google for egg yolk and champagne,
Raw eggs and
no, just search for egg yolk and champagne. If you do that, it comes up with, actually it comes up with a bunch of recipes. That's kind of weird.
Well, yeah, it's back, supposedly. Egg whites and champagne.
But now, of course, I'm not finding it. When I searched for it originally, what I was coming up with was The Quiet Earth references on forums and things like that.
Oh, I typed it in and I see a picture of Hobson drinking one in the movie. Or a man dies after eating 28 raw eggs for bet. Don't do that, by the way.
Yeah, don't do that. We do not condone eating 28 raw eggs for a bet.
So it's like nothing. It's just,
no, it's not. Like,
just-
that's what I
it's
thought.
him-
I thought it maybe was like a Rocky type thing where like or maybe it was a luxury thing where somebody,
Yeah,
you know, you make lots of money, so you drink
royalty.
raw eggs and champagne.
A royalty
Maybe
type
it was a
of-
royalty thing.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not. It's nothing. It's dumb.
Maybe there's
Don't
a
do
little-
it. It's gross.
Maybe there's a little bit more history.
There
in
are
that,
better things to mix with champagne than raw eggs.
Seriously.
Like orange juice, milk, anything.
Milk, really?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying it's better than raw
That
eggs.
sounds like as bad an idea as.
No. It's better than raw eggs. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, that was my one main point about this movie was that's gross.
Noted. Yeah, I think we've covered it. I'm out of thoughts on this.
As far as Omega Man movies go, as far as LMOE movies go,
LM
Lameo. As far as Lameo movies go,
Jeez, we're the T-shirt.
this was probably one of the better ones.
Yeah, you know what?
Although Charlton Heston in Omega Man is hard to beat. That was pretty.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Omega Man's great. Last Man on Earth is fun because it's definitely where Omega
Did we
Man.
watch that one? Last Man
Yes.
on Earth. Oh boy.
Wait. Oh my God! Did
I don't-
we?
I don't
did
think
we actually watch it?
I don't think we watched Last Man on Earth.
I think we just talked about it.
We
'Cause
talked about it because we watched Omega
Man.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just.
I think
talked about
Omega Man is actually the only Last Man on Earth scenario we've watched.
it. I think we just talked about it
I think.
extensively
I could be wrong.
because I mean, honestly, there's a lot of them. I mean, what's better than writing a story about a character who's 28 days later? I mean, it starts off with
I
him.
Am Legend.
Or The Walking Dead. The beginning of The Walking Dead. He's like all alone with zombies.
That's true because he wakes up in a hospital,
like-
right? And there's everybody's dead around him.
So I mean, it's definitely like a great scenario to put a character in. But yeah, definitely one of my. It's good. I mean, I liked it. I would actually watch it again.
It was not terrible.
I would actually watch.
I will
it
give
again,
it that.
Which
I would
says a lot.
watch this over a Roddy Piper movie.
Oh,
Although that
They
one
Live.
that we
Come
watched,
on, what about They Live? You didn't like They
Wait,
Live?
which one is the one?
They Live
which
was-
the one with the sunglasses?
He puts on
and
the sun-
like,
yeah,
okay,
They
okay,
Live. That was They
okay.
Live.
That one was actually pretty good. I would put that above this.
Call the cops! Call the cops!
I would put that above this.
Wait.
I have come here to
Indeed.
chew bubblegum and kick ass.
That's right.
And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, so bad. All right.
Thank you, Rowdy Pepper.
Okay. I think that puts The Quiet Earth
Drink some egg yolk and champagne.
to bed. All right. So now we're going to play our little mid-episode song. This song is a fantastic song from the Brazil soundtrack. This is the opening song and one of the main songs that kind of goes along with some choreography that
This is definitely one of the main themes.
I'm guessing took a lot of time and effort in the movie.
Which you heard a hint of in our
Yes.
episode 17 mashup. at the very
So,
beginning.
I have no idea what the song's called. I didn't write it down. It's just
it's not Brazil, I'll tell you
No, it's not called Brazil. It's the opening song.
that. You have to find it in the mid-episode
we'll,
break.
we'll sign it.
We'll be back where we will talk about Brazil and Lost Pages, which Wendell is really excited about.
Oh, I'm thrilled. All right, enjoy the song.
Essential services. We do the work, you do the pleasure.
Has anybody seen Lowry? Has anybody seen Sam Lowry?
You must have hopes, wishes, dreams.
No, nothing.
One should be making a comment, a modern version of 1984. I also just had a lot of anger against the world that I was trying to get out of my system. So I started thinking about Brazil. And I was at Port Talbot, and the sun was setting, and this beautiful golden light was covering this extremely ugly, mechanistic, machine-like and black world. And I had this image of somebody sitting there with a radio. And as he was tuning in the radio, he got these Latin American songs, and had never heard anything like that in his life. And it was a total contrast to the world that he lived in.
Hi, this is Daryl from This Week in Trek and the morning stream Stump a Trek Nerd. You're listening to the Dystopic Boys on the Dystopic Radio Network. It's not really radio.
Kitty, 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 kitty,
Paper. Have you ever seen paper?
All right, that means it's time for this week's month's installment of the last Lost Pages. The last Lost Pages. All right. So on this Lost Pages, I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to go VFR between Boeing Field and Friday Harbor and Orca Sea Sound. We need at least 2,000-foot ceilings, 5 miles visibility.
What?
Yeah, he's a machine.
If we want to go VFR between Orca Sea Sound and Friday Harbor, as long as we have at least 700
Wait
feet
a
ceilings,
second.
5 miles. Wait, what?
This is the Lost Pages, Wendell.
I know.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
What?
Tell the great audience and survivors out there what you've been doing the
So
last week.
literally the last month I've been doing nothing but studying and taking check rides and flying and getting my captain upgrade.
What pilots really do is read a bunch of
Oh,
manuals.
you have no idea. So anyway, I have absolutely had zero time to read other than all of the flying related information manuals and operating manuals and regulations and so anyway.
Oh, you should probably go. Oh wait, you don't.
Oh,
you
yeah.
should probably go to your segment that don't that doesn't
wait.
even exist. Oh yeah, and guess what? By the way, I haven't even read anything either. Like I said,
Hey, shocker! Niles hasn't read anything recently.
oh, so I was looking online, and there was a thing where they developed a faster way to read, and what they've done is they've broken books into they've taken words, and they basically have figured out where your eyes need to go to be able to read the most amount of words possible.
The idea is that you waste time when your eyes move left to right and then down and then left to right.
Like
and
your
then down.
normal way of reading is a very slow way to reading, and the brain actually can process words faster
if the eyes don't have to move.
if the eyes don't have to move.
So what they do is they have like a small text box that they show you up to like 2 or 3 words at a time, and you can
do 250 words a minute, or
we
500?
did up to, didn't we do that one day like something like 600
Maybe.
words a minute?
Maybe you did, but I didn't. I was looking at this thing on my own.
Oh, where did who showed this to me then? Anyway,
Or did I show it to you?
I did it
Oh.
like, maybe you showed it to me. I did 600 words a minute at one point, and that's where
It's a little fast.
It's
a little-
really, really fast. I mean, if you figure 600 words a minute, 60, that's 5 words a second. That's fast enough that if you take your attention away from it for a second and a half, you've just lost 8 words. So it's like,
I like the 250 word version myself.
I was good. I could do it very easily without having to even concentrate on it at about 400 to 450.
So I'm like, I need to figure out how to get more literature in this form, because this is awesome. Because my deal is I lose patience very easily, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I can get through pages at a time, and I'm like, yes. So anyway, I had to figure out how to find all my literature in this form. But I mean, like I said, I just came back from Arrow City Comic Con, and there's a couple comics that I found that'd be really cool to sort of look into and see what's happening.
Our goal,
but we have Chew and all these other things.
We're going to start reading more specifically like comics and things like that.
Oh, reading's hard. especially with like there's so much.
I'm totally gonna clip you right there. Oh, reading's hard.
There's so much material out there
and that timestamp is at 1 hour and 8 minutes.
Which, by the way, we're gonna start breaking. We're gonna time code when we start talking about certain things on the on our show notes, so you can skip the crap that you don't want to hear.
So in other words, skip right to the end.
You're fired.
So anyway, So yeah, I in the last month did simulator training in Alaska, ground school, check rides, initial operating experience, blah blah blah. To make a long story short, I am now a captain for Kenmore Express. Yay! Finally. And should actually have a little bit more free time now.
Captain.
Captain, my captain. So I should actually be able to have a little bit of free time in which I can read things again. And I will actually also have like overnights and stuff now where I'm flying on a regular basis that I can read things and do stuff like that.
And so, last night we actually sat down and set up a calendar.
We are scheduling
for this next month. So, I mean, my work makes...
I know. I actually have a regular schedule now.
That up.
Niles can completely screw that up.
I am still the same. I mean, I will be going to June a weekend. I will be going to L.A.
You'll be going to June?
I will be going
in L.A.
to L.A. a week in June at some point, and I will be maybe starting on a film here coming up this summer. So, who knows? But anyway, let's bring on our next film, one of my top 5 favorites, probably my favorite of all time.
Is it really? Like, would this be like one of... Not just within our category of movies, but all movies. Where would Brazil fall?
Yeah, you know what? I think Brazil would fall definitely definitely top. I would say top 5 of all
top 5 movies of all time.
Films of all time.
All right,
I'm gonna say that because it falls. It touches on so much of what we talk about with our category, and also just as a film in general. It's just I just love it.
Plus, it has Robert De Niro as a terrorist.
That's right. As a terrorist.
All right, so let's listen to the description of Brazil.
Brazil. Sam Lowry is a low-level government employee within the Ministry of Information who has frequent daydreams of saving a damsel in distress. One day he is assigned the task of trying to rectify an error which caused the misprint of a file resulting in the death of Mr. Archibald Buttle, instead of the suspected terrorist, Archibald Tuttle. Lowry's investigation leads to a thrilling adventure with Tuttle and literally the girl of his dreams, Jill, dodging the Ministry of Information's messy tactics and paranoia from all sides, leading Lowry further down the rabbit hole. The truth will make him free.
Dun dun dun.
The truth will make you free. In Brazil, also a 1985 film, along with The Quiet Earth, directed by none other than Terry Gilliam, written by Terry Gilliam, Tom Stoppard, and Charles McCowan, who Charles McCowan was Lime, his little neighbor. That was it, when he went to the ministry. When he went to the
yeah. He was the one. He was the one that kept on doing
a bit of my specialty.
He kept doing the push pull with the desks.
Yeah, that was. So he also had a writing credit as well. Terry Gilliam brought in a couple writers to help him out. Basically, Terry Gilliam sent out his script. He's like, "All right, tell me if I'm crazy, if I'm on the right path. I just want to see what you do." Like, especially Tom Stoppard. Terry Gilliam's like, You kind of take my script and then bring it back to me, and I'll see if we're on the same page. But anyway, starring Jonathan Pryce as Sam Lowry, Robert De Niro as Harry Tuttle, Catherine Helmond as Mrs. Lowry, Ian Holm as Mr. Kurtzman, Bob Hoskins as Spoor, Michael Palin as Jack Lint, the infamous bad guy, quote unquote, of the movie. And Peter Vaughn is Mr. Helpman, which is funny. I forgot his name was Mr. Helpman. He's the one that helps Lowry.
Who was the bad guy?
Jack Lint. Jack was the man in the interrogation room.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Who he's the
I was figuring for some reason Martin Freeman.
Oh yeah, not
who was what part did he play? He played his boss. Right?
What? Martin Freeman?
Yeah, Martin Freeman.
No, Martin Freeman was not in this.
Martin. Wait, what?
Bilbo. Oh, yeah, in home.
Oh, Ian. Wow. Oh, it's been a long 3 weeks.
And yes, Brazil. A little history. I mean, like all of Terry Gilliam's films, pretty much. They haven't gotten really good. It's either like it's like either end of the fence. You got people that really love it. I mean, obviously Brazil has become this cult classic and a film that has kind of put a staple on. This is very much a satire, as opposed to films like 1984 or Blade Runner or anything like that. This is very much a satire of technology and government and like 1984. It's pretty much the opposite realm. But Brazil, it almost didn't get an American distributor because of how long it was and how just crazy and out there it was. And Universal sort of seized control. And so Terry Gilliam, like amongst all his other films, he went through this struggle of like, how am I going to get to the U.S.? How am I going to get this film distributed? Like, they don't want it this long. So Universal, there's actually a cut on the Criterion Collection version that I have. There's a 92-minute cut of this film that has a happy ending to it. Like
that's weird.
Like Lowry and his girl of his dreams, live in a little hut out in the countryside, away from everything, and live happily ever after.
Right.
And then they cut to him in the chamber with clouds all around him, like he's, So they almost hint at the inevitable ending that we get in the original version.
And that's very, very. I just realized you had said. We'll get to that later.
It's very American, right? It's a very American view
I was
on
just
what
thinking
films
of what we had talked about before we started recording about the inspiring Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch.
Oh yeah,
and that kind of like escaping into your own mind to escape the horrors of reality.
It's very much like spoilers. It's very much like the ending of Brazil, right? We have obviously he's being interrogated, but he's being interrogated through manipulating the mind. You sort of get a hint of that at the end of the Brazil, and you also get that in Sucker Punch. Is all of a sudden we get at the end, and there's been this whole imagining of another reality, a dream world almost. So Brazil has sparked all these other films in terms of just how to go about telling a story of this genre and all this stuff. But so there's been several different versions of this film made. Finally, Terry Gilliam got his cut, his 132-minute cut that we saw.
The one that we watched.
Which later then premiered. But he went through this whole thing with Universal, and it was just crazy. But anyway, here we have Brazil. Look and feel. Obviously, it's very. If you ever saw Time Bandits or anything like that, it's very dark. It's very gritty. It's very cluttered, congested. We see that through the sets and the props and the technology. And Terry Gilliam's kind of classic, like wide angle view of like characters, perspectives, and all this. It's very much a Terry Gilliam-esque film, which later on you sort of get an idea of what Terry Gilliam's visual style is. But what else did you notice with the look and the feel of it?
It reminded me a lot of a very kind of industrial type of look and feel to the world, because everything was, and I don't think we've touched on this yet,
or architectural,
like the ducts, like ducting was everything. Like, do you have the most up-to-date ducting? Do you have the and so ducting was very, very visible in all of the architecture and all of the. It's almost like for whatever reason. It was. I'm trying to think of a modern day version of the ducting in this, and I cannot think of anything that relates to the way that they used. And when I say ducting, I don't mean ducts. I mean like HVAC, heating, HV,
air ducts,
heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. That's what it is. Anyway, air ducts. There were it's just interesting that there were all of these, and you'd have like types of things you'd see coming out of dryer vents going all over the place. And when they'd open up a wall thing, when Harry Tuttle, played by Robert De Niro, opens up the wall thing because his air conditioning isn't working, there's just masses of hoses and ducts going through the wall. So for some reason, Gilliam decided to use these ducts as a main plot element,
and I think it
was different.
I was watching some sort of making of, and it started out like the props in the set decoration department sort of started using this idea for the technology, like wrapping cords within this stuff, and then but then Gilliam's like, well, if we just blatantly put it everywhere. And I think while doing that, it sort of added to this feeling of like very being cluttered and congested and like tangled and crisscrossed, and like technology not being a thing of convenience, but being a thing of technology getting in the way and being a problem more than it was a solution, and causing more layers of confusion and like the amounts of paperwork you had to do, or technology. If you go back and watch the film, none of the technology works well.
Yeah, like everything has workarounds that need to be done.
Kurtzman, Ian Holmes' character, always has trouble with the computer, or it's always breaking down, or the beginning of the plot where a fly falls in the machine and causes an error. I mean, it's a physical thing happening to the technology, or
even the screens, right?
The screens.
They have tiny little screens that they then have like these big giant magnifying glass the type of thing I would have remembered back in like the late 90s seeing on like nighttime QVC or something, like call now and get your magnifying screen for your 6-inch color television so that it looks like it's HD. That type of thing was rampant throughout this.
Central Services, the main department of
Central Services.
We'll do the work, you do the pleasure.
So bad.
Oh, that's so good. We're gonna have to clip that. But I think that the ducks add to this thing of just technology just not doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it's just a hindrance. Let me play a clip that we have. There's many clips, but this is when Archibald Tuttle, played by Robert De Niro, first appears at Lowry's apartment in the Shangri-La Towers, which again it's kind of like a Dredd. I would say Dredd and Judge Dredd is sort of like
kind of a
massive tower where everybody lives in.
Yeah,
the slums of the city kind of thing.
Harry Tuttle, heating engineer at your service.
Tuttle? Are you from Central Services? I called Central Services.
Well, they're a little overworked these days. Luckily, I intercepted your call.
You did...
Very steampunk.
What was that business with the gun?
Yeah, very.
Just a precaution, sir. Just a precaution. I've had traps set for me before now. And there are plenty of people in Central Services who'd love to get their hands on Harry Tuttle.
Are you telling me that this is illegal?
Well, yes and no. Officially, only Central Service operatives are supposed to touch the stuff. Would you hold this, please? But nowadays, with all the new rules and regulations, they can't get decent staff anymore. So they tend to turn a blind eye, as long as I'm careful. Like, mind you, if ever they could prove that I've been working on their equipment. Well, now that's a pipe of a different color.
But wouldn't it be simpler just to, work with...
Wizard of Oz.
Sorry, yes. I was saying, wouldn't it be simpler to work for Central Services?
Couldn't stand the pay. Getting warm.
You couldn't what? Couldn't stand the what?
Paperwork. Couldn't stand the paperwork. Listen, this whole system of yours could be on fire, and I couldn't even turn on a kitchen tap without filling out a 27B/6. Bloody paperwork.
I suppose one has to expect a certain amount.
Why? I came into this game for the action, the excitement. Go anywhere, travel light, get in, get out, wherever there's trouble, a man alone. Now they got the whole country sectioned off. You can't make a move without a form.
So you get an idea of this is Tuttle's sort of a Robin Hood of electrical heating. And he opens up the panel and there's just tubes and wires, and technology is just such a cluttered mess.
I want a T-shirt that says the Robin Hood of electrical heating.
Archibald Tuttle, or
yeah.
Tuttle at your service.
So yeah, I mean, even the aesthetic, the things like his screwdriver that he gets the screws out of the wall panels, is reminiscent of an old school. I used to have one when I was a kid. It's like a drill that is.
I want one.
It's like there's a handle on the back part of it, and as you push, you're pushing through this like corkscrew. And so as you're pushing forwards, it's rotating the bit. And, you know, they make them with bits, they make them with drills. And it's actually something that probably would have been more in use back 70s, 80s. But just things like that. It's very, very, like you said, kind of steampunk. That feel of modern day air conditioning, computers, that stuff, but with more of an old world feel to it.
And I mean, it's almost kind of backwards. Well, I guess. Well, and if
you think about it, if you think about it, that's kind of steampunk. That's what steampunk is, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, steampunk is what would happen if it was a Victorian society that developed technology in a steampunk fashion, or in a steam world. So, airplanes are steam powered.
Well, I'm saying more of like this is more of a future where you'd expect a higher end of technology, but you get sort of you get like 70s, 80s sort of tech, you know, very. Yeah, it's
well, and that's actually one thing I was reading is that this movie was not intended to be a futuristic movie.
Oh, no.
This was intended to be a modern day movie back when it was set in 1985. So this is a movie that was intended to relate to people in the current day. Back in the 80s.
Like this is the technology that you're using now. Set in a whole different light and world. And originally, this was supposed to come out in 1984, along with 1984, probably about the same time. But since Universal was giving them Gilliam crap, it got pushed at 1985. So I think, we can talk about the contrast of that in just a second. But obviously, this is dystopian satire. We have the world's controlled by the Ministry of Information paperwork. Very much, the world of 1984, or like the new rendition of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in terms of like the style and the world, the paperwork involved. Obviously, I would think that Gilliam got sort of the paperwork from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because it plays the same way. If you go back and watch Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's like, oh, sorry, that's the wrong form. You need to do out this form before you can come to this office. It's like it's the same thing. It's really kind of cool. Well, but and very much 1984, a satire of 84.
Well, I think that's an interesting thing too, is that this is a satire.
Oh yeah,
This is not intended to be a take this seriously, as though this is not a Book of Eli. This is not This is a serious world, a gritty world. This is supposed to be a real world. This is we are going to make fun of everything we can think of within this type of world.
And like the clip I played with Gilliam talking about sort of the inspiration for the film was like, let's go to the title, Brazil. Why the hell is it called Brazil? I think
pondered that question.
I think the simple reason is what Gilliam said. It's the contrast of he was seeing these images of this really dark, gritty world, and then hearing the music of Brazil, of Brazilian music, and this kind of upbeat sort of dance music along with this visual, and the contrast was so extreme that I think that's one of the reasons it's called Brazil, was partly because of the song, which we can get to later. But 1939 song, "Watercolor of Brazil," or just called Brazil, which was used as part of the main theme. There's just the contrast of Brazil and the music and the style of what you think of Brazil, and then this world of this world that he's created. I think he like the title. I think he just has it there to create this contrast and this satire, this ridiculousness of the whole thing.
Well, and I think that is kind of one of the main points to the movie is this making it so over the top with regards to things like the ducting systems.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's intended to be like almost comical how like the ducting is this big huge thing in the movie, and it's like that would never happen in real life. That like ducting it's taking the most mundane. I mean, can you think of anything that is more mundane about our everyday lives than ducting?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like it's completely insane to think about the fact that ducting could be any pertinent part of society.
It's definitely something we taken for granted too. But I mean, again, what Gilliam said was along that he was just pissed off. He was just pissed off at the world, pissed off at everything. So this is kind of like I'm pissed off, so I'm just gonna make fun of technology and like paperwork and information and like all this stuff. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons it's called that, and it's satire. It's because it's just pissed off. Along with the story, like let's go to the stories and themes of this film. It definitely, I mean, Lowry's character is very much of this quiet. I don't want to be a part of the system. I just want to live my life. I just want to be, do my dream, dream my dreams and work my work and, just get on with it. And then he gets caught up in this. Yeah. Caught up in this rabbit hole of situations.
Well, and I know this is moving on to the compare and contrast stuff, but in a lot of ways that I just want to live my life, I don't want to worry about anybody else or anything else is very reminiscent of the 1984 element. With the main character in 1984 is like this, like I just want to fly under the radar.
Play by the rules.
I want to play by the rules. I want to go to work. I want to go home. And it even takes that parallel to one further place of the love interest, right? It's because of a love interest in both 1984 and Brazil that the main character leaves that comfortable, fly under the radar, go by the book.
Starts thinking for himself.
It's in both of these cases like this love interest. Yeah, thought crimes in 1984, The Truth Shall Set You Free in Brazil. Same concept, different movie, different implementation, but same idea.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's like the quote. There's a bunch of quotes all over the place. The truth will make you free. Who can you trust? Happiness, we're all in this together. I mean, Tuttle says that it's kind of like the other end of the spectrum is this kind of sense of hope, like happiness, we're all in this together. But it's like I mean, we're not all in this together to be happy. It's kind of, but I was. So here's a funny thing. So I pulled up. I have to mention this because it's just crazy. Back in 2005, when I was in my first year of college, I ended up writing a paper on Brazil.
That's so sad because I graduated from college in 2005.
So I actually went back and pulled out my paper that I wrote, not written.
He obviously did not major in English.
It's late.
This paper I written.
It's late. Give me some whatever. But I ended up talking about some of the quotes in the film. You're gonna pull it.
Well, it's interesting because
you can compare. I mean, obviously Gilliam was a little pissed off at the world and whatever else, and he pulls references from "The Truth Will Make You Free," as in like the saying above Auschwitz.
The saying about the Auschwitz
work will set you free.
Work shall set you free.
Which is also CIA is also
the Minister of Information.
CIA uses the truth will set you free or make you free or whatever. it's so. I mean, he's pulled. It's. I mean, it's very satire.
Dude, I have to say I'm impressed by your depth in this paper. You made the comparison. Icarus, who flew too high and melted his wings of wax, trying to escape the island of Crete. Like Icarus, Sam was going too far and deep to find the truth, and he would soon get burned.
I totally forgot about the Icarus thing. So I mean, it's an obviously a satire of the Icarus story, where he flew too high to the sun and his wings burned. So I mean, it's very much a satire of that story as well. He went too far down the rabbit hole and he got burned for it. I mean, really, the end of this film is. I mean, it's like the truth made him free, but not in a.
It made him free in his own
typical
mind.
In his own mind.
Which, again, going back to the comparison with, say, Sucker Punch, which was inspired by Brazil. People say that was a bad movie. It did not get good reviews. Okay, fine, whatever. I really liked it, and I think that there are a lot of really interesting imagery, really interesting elements that were in that movie. One of which is the argument of, did any of it actually happen? Mm-hmm. Or was it an inception moment? Was it a dream within a dream? Mm-hmm. Did she dream of her dancing, and then within that dancing dream of those different scenarios to escape that?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, in Brazil, we get an obvious break of when the dream world starts happening. When we think, I mean, we get more of, as opposed to Sucker Punch, we get more.
Well, but even that, you
or do we? I mean,
you don't in Brazil. You don't realize that he was dreaming until after he comes out of the dream.
It's true.
In the beginning, at first, you think that whole scenario of him getting broken out, and broken out by Jill and
Joanne.
Why do I keep? No, this is Jill.
This is Jill.
Joanne is the other one.
Dang
Dang
That's
it,
what you're doing.
One of them was Jill. I know one of them was Jill. In this one, you get that towards the end. You get this moment where he gets broken out by Jill and Tuttle, and then they're escaping and going through all this stuff, and you think it's real, and it's not until later that you realize that that Jill's already dead. None of that escape happened, and the entire thing from the escape up till now has all been in his mind. Mm-hmm. So while yes, there is definitely a break after the fact, going into it,
sure.
It's actually almost the reverse, because in Sucker Punch, at first you're under the impression that she's going into a dream to escape reality. It's after the fact that you realize that going into the dream to escape reality was all a dream. Mm-hmm. In this, there's not quite the double level of dreaming, but there's still this. I know it's this. Yes, exactly. It's a complete Inception moment. But in this, you don't realize that whole escape sequence is a complete dream until after the fact.
Yeah, in the timeline that the movie plays out. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the movie, you all right. There was that moment.
Yes, there's less discussion.
He's being interrogated. Yeah. That it's kind of
in Sucker Punch. Once you finish the movie, there is still discussion. There is still discussion about wait, was that real?
Or which parts are real or whatever.
Was that real? Yeah. No, I think that was in her head. No, that actually happened. No, I remember we finished that movie at the theater one night with a group of friends at 1 a.m. or something, and we're standing outside no, this happened. No, this happened. Wait, what?
And where did you get that from? I think that it's one of those things that maybe people will tear it down for being a bad movie, but
I liked that.
Films like that and Brazil and films that get you out of the theater and then all of a sudden you're asking all these questions are arguably better films than those that where I got this stupid comment from was in an interview about Terry Gilliam talking about specifically Spielberg films.
Wait, that's not Terry Gilliam saying that, is it?
Oh yeah.
Stupid.
That's Terry Gilliam.
That's actually Terry Gilliam.
Terry Gilliam.
I need to listen to the rest of that.
Believe this is you can call Brazil my favorite film because I just but he's talking about Spielberg and the fact that Gilliam and Stanley Kubrick and all these guys make films that don't give you this ending, don't give you this answers. They ask the questions. They don't give you the answers to those questions, but they ask the questions. Spielberg, like those types of filmmakers, like Spielberg, sort of like Terry Gilliam said, like put it in a bow, a nice little present, and then give you the answers at the end. Happy feely. Even if it's a sad ending, it's still you get an answer to the question. Gilliam and Kubrick and all these, you get questions at the end. You don't get answers, you get questions.
Which is fantastic for a podcast because it just sparks a heck of a lot of discussion.
So I mean, it definitely falls under that. And one also thing was terrorism, bombs going off.
Yeah,
like,
what
and,
is
and everybody still continues having dinner. Like
that's right. Yeah,
so
I forgot about that part.
They've gotten numb to terrorist attacks. I mean, I think it's definitely a satire. It's completely a satire.
Well, and it's the fact that they have this. I was about to say Harry Potter, and I have no idea why. They have this. What's the?
But you don't even know who the terrorists
are. The dude that shoots the bow and Robin Hood. Jeez, why can I not think of
who
that?
Who shoots the bow and arrow?
They have this Robin Hood character in the form of Robert De Niro.
Kevin Costner, Postman.
Harry Buttle.
Buttle. That's right. Wait, no, Tuttle.
Harry Tuttle.
You're talking about Robert De Niro?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuttle.
Harry Tuttle. That's right, not Buttle.
Buttle's.
But they have this character that is just kind of an ancillary part, if you really think about it. Like, he does not play a main role in the movie, other than to act as this kind of opposition to the Central Intelligence.
Yeah, he's like this beacon of hope, This beacon of hope, this other side of the wall, kind of thing. Where were you going with that?
I have no clue.
But you don't even get a sense of who the terrorists are. I mean, Jill a little bit, but you don't really see her necessarily doing anything. You see her.
Yeah.
You get one point she brings in a package, which Lowry thinks is maybe a bomb, but it's not. And Tuttle, he's just going around Robin Hood style, fixing people's ducks.
I know.
Or
like that. That is the most completely random way of being a Robin Hood. Is like, I'm going to fix your air conditioning, even though it's against the law.
I've intercepted your call. You did what? But just because he's against the paperwork and the system, he just wants to help.
I still to this day did not, until you did the mashup, or until we watched the movie, I had no idea that whole I'm in this for the action, the excitement.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was Robert De Niro from this movie.
Yeah,
that is still bizarre.
From the beginning, I mean, you can tell this is definitely one of my favorite films.
You have used a lot of quotations from this movie.
Or Terry Gilliam himself. I mean, Terry Gilliam, who 12 Monkeys,
which I still have never seen.
I mean, the Brothers Grimm, which doesn't really fall, but Time Bandits, and then Zero Theorem coming up, which I'm really excited to see. Yeah, so I mean, let's we've already talked about how you can compare this to many other films, but I mean, you can compare this to films that were making. Oh, excuse me, that were made this about the same time. I mean, in comparison to others like sort of sci-fi genre films. I mean, Ghostbusters '84, Back to the Future '85, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi was done in '83, and the Blade Runner was '82. I mean, so
I think Blade Runner is probably the greatest comparison there, just because the other ones are a little more just straight up science fiction.
Well, exactly. I mean,
whereas Blade Runner is straight up a dystopian.
In terms of what else was being made and what else was sort of being popularized by, the people watching films and moviegoers in general. I mean, they were seeing all these other films, but then we have Brazil on the other end of it, along with Blade Runner. I mean, Blade Runner was not accepted well into
it's
reviews as well.
There are a lot of these cult classics. I mean, you look at those movies.
These are definitely genre bending points.
Over the course of 3 years, you have Ghostbusters in '84, which is, I would argue, not a fantastic movie, but it's a fantastic movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
But it's not a good movie, but it's a fantastic movie. Same, Back to the Future. Back to the Future, again, same type of thing. It's not really necessarily a good movie, but it's a fantastic movie. Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. probably one of the weaker of the 3 original trilogy. I would argue Empire Strikes Back is absolutely by far the best one. Return of the Jedi, I would probably argue is depends on who you talk to. Some people argue that it's better than the first one. Other people would argue that it's worse than the first one. I really liked Return of the Jedi, but it's interesting that all of these became like cult classic blockbusters. Blade Runner was a little bit more of just a straight up cult classic. It was never really a blockbuster.
Well, and Blade Runner,
same thing as Brazil.
I think Blade Runner went through the same thing Brazil did, which was it was not widely accepted as a success until 10 years down the line, where all of a sudden there's this, it really was a great film. I mean, when we actually get to talk about Blade Runner, I feel like we can just spend, an entire episode on Blade Runner talk about the different cuts that he went through making.
They're like it's different versions.
It's the same thing as Terry Gilliam. I mean, Terry Gilliam really has 3 different cuts of this film that he's, put out or tried.
Blade Runner was a Tony Scott or Ridley Scott?
Ridley Scott
movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Ridley Scott. Yeah. I mean, Alien.
Did he do Prometheus?
Prometheus.
He did. Okay, that's right. He did do Prometheus.
So I mean, like in terms of, Brazil. I mean, Blade Runner came before Brazil. Obviously, pulling some stuff from that. Obviously, Gilliam pulled from the novel 1984 because obviously they were. The film was being made about the same time. I'm kind of interested to see how much, Gilliam. I feel like Gilliam didn't really pull a lot. I'm sure he had seen Blade Runner, but I don't think he really was thinking of Blade Runner at the time. I think it was more of a 1984 sort of satire than it was along the lines of Blade Runner. Even though watching Blade Runner, a lot of the locations and stuff were, in terms of where he was living. And the housing, it was very kind of similar. So yeah, I mean, we can compare. I mean, I love watching Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and comparing the paperwork piece of it.
Yeah,
and this is the wrong form. I mean, it's just pulled straight. It's got to be pulled straight from.
And it even takes element then it takes root in some other modern day cult classic cartoons in the form of like Futurama. Mm-hmm. You've got Hermes, who is the bureaucrat. And everything has to be, T's crossed, I's dotted in triplicate and submitted at this time, at this date to this. And, we can find this loophole to get out of this because this form was not submitted at the correct, it's
definitely,
like
probably taken from the trifecta of 84, Brazil, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I mean, all that kind of stuff. I mean, so this is kind of, the 80s was definitely a pinnacle point in terms of sci-fi and dystopian movies are concerned. So, Brazil is definitely a landmark in terms of sort of the comedic side, the satire side of, this genre. But, I mean, also just straight dystopian as well. So, yeah, we can go comparing it and bringing, but...
Let's talk a little bit about the music. So this music was the score was written by Michael Kamen. He's actually he's no longer with us. He's actually known for a few things though. He passed away in 2003.
Oh really?
He Band of Brothers, X-Men, The Iron Giant.
Oh, what? Really?
Lethal Weapon 4, The Avengers, the original unreleased cut. He was replaced by Joel McNeely for back in 1998, The Avengers soundtrack. Event Horizon, one of the only scary movies that I will actually watch.
I still have not seen that. I still have not seen that.
Really, really creepy.
Wow. So I mean, yeah, he's definitely established.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Really?
Three Musketeers, Lethal Weapon 3, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So yeah, he definitely has a lot of resume under his belt, for lack of a better word. The soundtrack, as you heard from the one song that we played, it's very much this kind of frenetic, like frantic. This stuff has to get done. This stuff has to get done now. Like kind of machines at work. kind of feel to it, an industrial, like a bunch of different elements, typewriters going,
Well,
like,
then, yeah,
all of this stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in the song that we heard, they actually used a typewriter to cue sort of the beat.
Yeah.
And I think he was working on typewriter one day, and he just heard the sound, and he started thinking about that.
Well,
but then also this Brazil theme that Terry Gilliam sort of points to, I think he had written score cues in line with this main theme that he wrote, and he ended up thinking that he sort of wrote the song because he had done so many iterations of the theme. And he was talking about he had sent this stuff in for copyright, like information, like whether or not, what they need to pay as far as copyright's concerned, and they sent back very little of the stuff that he had written was in copyright infringement of the original material. And he was like blown away the fact that he had written all this stuff, but it doesn't infringe on the original material at all.
Yeah.
So he pulled from the Brazil song and then just went off with it.
The interesting thing, like that song that we listened to, it's very reminiscent to me of like Clown Car, and I mean that in the sense of the
yeah.
I had the
like
theme in my
wind up
head,
toying
like the like very circus-esque, like very very much like, again, going back to that parody
Cirque
feel.
du Soleil, Brazil,
very very much that
circus.
parody feel of like just a whole lot of things going on at one time, all at the same time. There's no order. It's a crazy house, and I think that was a really really interesting direction for them to go with this. One interesting thing, just completely side note, in 2004, when Annie Lennox accepted the Academy Award for Best Original Song, her composition Into the West from The Lord of the Rings Return of the King, she dedicated her achievement to the memory of Cayman.
Oh, nice. Well, there you
Interesting side note.
Very nice. But I think, like, in terms of using the Brazil song from 1939, just it touches on this contrast that Gilliam was so interested in portraying in the film. This contrast of like, just like, I mean, in terms of just calling it Brazil and then what the film actually was, just playing with this contrast of ideas and visuals and making somebody thinking something completely different from what they're seeing on screen. I think is just brilliant.
Agreed.
Yes,
it's midnight.
Yeah, we can keep talking about this film, but I want to keep talking about this film, but I think we've pretty much talked it to death now. So yeah.
Okay, I think it's time for
more beer.
What the? Seriously? Now is the time that my so much for Apple products not ever crashing, because apparently my
that's not true.
Sound device here
they do crash, by the way.
Decide. Oh wait, I think I actually removed that song. Maybe that's actually
Did you
my
actually
fault.
remove it?
Okay, do. Okay, that's supposed to be the Jeopardy thing song for Stump Niles trivia.
Insert trivia theme here.
Okay,
we should just play that. No, don't.
I know that'd be loud. Okay, so your first trivia question. I actually have two of them.
We actually have trivia. All right,
we actually have trivia. Your first.
I'm missing the trivia thing.
Question is, in The Quiet Earth, the truck that Zach drove
oh my gosh.
was what brand? Ford, Chevy.
Wait. Oh, I get a multiple choice? All right,
you do get multiple choice on this one. Ford, Chevy, Toyota, or Honda.
Now, whose truck is this?
Zach's. The white one. The white pickup truck that Zach drove was one of the two brand new four-wheel drive trucks that Blank of New Zealand gave to the production.
Read me choices again.
Toyota, Honda, Ford, or Chevy.
I want to say Honda or Toyota, and I'm going to say Toyota.
Ding, ding, ding! You are correct. The white Hilux pickup was one of the 2 brand new 4-wheel drive trucks that Toyota of New Zealand gave to the production.
Toyota of New Zealand. It was a cool looking truck, by the way.
All right. Question number 2 from Brazil.
Brazil.
This one is not multiple choice.
Ah, damn it.
This is going to be a difficult one. You have seen this movie how many times?
Probably only like 3. Believe it or not.
All right.
It's one of my favorite movies, but I've only seen it 3 times.
When Sam goes to see Jack Lint, the elevator in information retrieval goes up to floor blank.
60.
Negative.
65.
Negative.
70.
No.
What? wait. The elevator in information retrieval.
Yes.
Yeah, the one okay.
Okay, I will give you a hint. The elevator in information retrieval goes up to floor blank, as in 1984.
It doesn't go to 84.
Yes, it does.
Does it? Really?
The elevator in information retrieval goes to floor 84.
Wow, I totally missed that.
As in the movie 1984.
Wow, I totally missed that. Well, there you go. Then another comparison to the fact that it's a satire of 1984.
Yes, exactly.
And that the film would have come out in 84 if it didn't have problems distributing it.
Yeah.
With Universal.
Well, and there were some jokes that before 1984 came out, that Terry Gilliam was actually calling Brazil, jokingly, 1984 and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Not knowing that there was a 1984 movie coming out.
Oh, really?
Speaking about the George Orwell 1984 book.
Oh, wow.
That calling his movie 1984 and a half.
I missed that bit of
And then
info.
when 1984 the movie came out, they're like, I guess we can't call it that because they would have actually had like major issues with the whole like copyright and naming and all that kind of stuff. So
I'm sure
Brazil
I'm sure he wouldn't have ended up calling it that, but
still, it's interesting that like internally he was kind of jokingly call it 1984 and a half.
Well, I think it's funny that it's probably more based on the literature of 1984 than it definitely is the movie, because I don't think like in Terry Gilliam's talks,
the movie wasn't out yet.
In Terry Gilliam's talks about making the film and what his inspiration was, never really did he mention like the film 1984 or even the book 1984.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it was just kind of in the back of his head kind of thing. But Brazil.
Okay.
Terry Gilliam, you are my heroes.
It's
one of my
time
heroes.
for...
Oh, at least that one works.
I know.
Wow,
All right.
Our vocals are loud. I'm like, we have peaks.
I know. I think we need to talk quieter.
You need to talk quieter. I'm in the, look at that. I got red on my, that's awesome.
I know, you're peaking.
This is the loudest I've ever been, ladies and gentlemen.
This is ridiculous. All right. So, excuse me. We're going to pick our movies from both of our lists this time around.
Now, should we pick from our list, or should we try to find the machine for this next month, or should we just go from the list?
Is the machine...
The machine is out in the UK.
I say we wait until it gets released in the US.
All right.
Because it is going to be released in the US, right?
And give people a chance to watch it.
Yes. Okay, so...
Well, I would assume that it's going to be released in the US.
Okay, let's go with our other list first.
All right.
Our other list is, there are 110 movies on it, or 111. So we need a random number from 1 to 111. The random number is 103. Oh, crap, that means it's the bottom of the list.
And the numbers never mean anything.
Because it is alphabetical order, 103.
Are they actually in alphabetical order?
Crap.
Are they in alphabetical
order? I
order?
think this is in German. It's called Welt am Draht.
So what?
WELT space AM space DRAHT.
So is it Welt am...
Welt space AM space DRAHT.
DRA.
Let's see.
What?
It's okay. The English name is called World on a Wire.
World on a Wire
is a 1973 science fiction film directed by Rainer Werner Fassbinder. Shot in 16 millimeter. I have no idea what that means. It was made for fantastic. It was made for German television. And originally aired in 1973 as a 2-part miniseries.
The poster is awesome.
Starring Klaus Lawich.
Are you seriously
It
gonna-
was based on the novel Simulacron.
Clockwork
Dash
Orange
3.
definitely comes into similar films.
I don't.
Looked up.
God, am I going to be able to find that one? Okay. We're going to have to. Okay. All right. If we can't find that one to watch, we will come up with a backup that will
Somewhere in the
announce on
future,
last
there's
frequency.
a computer project called Simulacron, one of which is able to simulate a full-featured reality. When suddenly project leader Henry Vollmer dies, his successor Fred Stiller experiences odd phenomena. Blah, blah,
Okay, never
blah.
mind. I can
Can't
find this
believe-
movie.
You
So,
can't?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Oh, you can?
I can find this movie. We're
Okay.
good. I actually can find a Blu-ray of it.
Oh,
Weirdly enough. So World on a Wire. I'm not sure why it's on our list as some German name that I can't pronounce.
Sweet, a German
Welt
film.
am Draht.
A German film.
Okay.
Oh, it's not rated. 212 minutes? What?
It's like a 4-hour movie.
What?
Oh yeah, because it's a 2-part miniseries.
Oh,
crap.
This is like...
Oh, my brain hurts already. All right. Okay. Now for our list.
This is like The Stand.
I know. Our list is 2 through 71.
Go away, Captain America. Oh wait, Captain America comes up tomorrow.
Hey, have you? Did you add
out
the
of the
other?
way.
Did you add the other movies to our?
I did. I
Okay.
added the other movies to the
Okay,
list.
2 through 71.
The poster is awesome.
Is movie number 38. Number 38 is.
This is West Germany, by the way.
Oh, actually, like one of my favorite. Like I would consider this to be probably in my
Children Men?
top 20. Nah, it's not quite top 10. Top 15.
Repo Man?
Yep.
Really? Oh wow.
Repo Man.
Look at that.
I know.
The not the opera, not the musical. There's
an opera of Repo Men.
There is. It's Repo Man.
That's bizarre and scary.
Repo Man. The opera.
Okay, no, it's not
Believe it or
that.
not.
It is not that.
Yeah, it's Repo, the genetic opera in 2008.
That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, this is Repo Man the movie.
Yes.
So we will be watching Repo Man and
Wow. Look at
Well Draht.
Wow, that's a. You know, I love how these two films just end up working. I feel like this is going to work
World on
really
a
well.
Wire. I think Repo Man.
German and Repo Man.
Fantastic. All right. So yeah, those will be our two movies for the month of April. We realize we're a little late this time around. We apologize. It's this time around. It's my fault because of my flying.
Well, yeah.
So
we'll blame it on you. That's true.
We want any feedback you guys might have. You can get a hold of us at feedback at dystopicradio.com. Get a hold of us on Twitter at dystopicradio, Facebook, iTunes. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. We like hearing your voices at 206-414-9309. We do want to thank Mark Howen once again for his voice work for the show. It was once again fun having him come in and record for us. And this time around, we also have his added voice work in one of the this month on the Dystopic Boys. We got him to record a bunch of different amusing versions of that, so you may hear some of those in upcoming episodes. Niles, last thoughts.
Grab your raw eggs, pour a bit of champagne, drink it down, and go to Brazil, because it's going to be fun.
And then puke. And everybody, we will see you guys on the other side. Oh, crap, I removed that one too.
I got it.
Dang it. All right. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Keep your ears
This
on.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the Dystopic Radio Network and survivors like you. Holy crap. 2 hours. You nailed it. It was 2 hours and 1 minute.
Boom.
Holy freaking crap.
I knew it was going to be 2 hours. It's because of the last frequency. I didn't have anything to put at the end.